Hey guys, welcome back to a new episode of There Will Be Expletives, the vodcast. I'm Geoff.
I'm Ron.
And we can say something special. We can say that the TWBE is filmed before a live studio audience because my dog is presently... Yeah, we put him to sleep. That's about right.
That's about right, yeah.
That's par for the course.
Yeah, we have some bystanders out here that security is keeping at bay. I haven't seen Shepard pull out his cell phone and try to record in quite some time, but he is at the door peering in the windows.
The Sheparazzi.
The Sheparazzi.
I love Shep. He's a good boy.
Well, John Wicket is pretty cute too. So.
Yeah, I need that shirt. I really need that fucking shirt.
When you sent that to me, that was like the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Oh my god!
How did we not see that? How did we not see that?
I kind of want to just stop this recording right now just to go buy that fucking t-shirt.
Oh god.
All right, Ron. Let's get into the news. And I'm sighing because I am so fucking sick and tired of talking about the DC movies and their directors. Like it is. Like it's so brutal because, as we've talked about before, I put together the news, so I have to go through every fucking thing Collider puts on their website, and it's like I swear to God every day. Yeah. So and so joins this. So and so leaves the fuck negotiations of this, and it
sometimes in the same day.
Last week we reported that the director of Cloverfield, the new Planet of the Apes films, Matt Reeves, had signed on reportedly to direct the Batman. Literally within 48 hours, talks had broken down and he left the project.
Cloverfield, Geoff. Cloverfield and Batman.
I know. I would have liked to have seen what he would have done with it. Now this is kind of maybe a silver lining depending on who they got, but here's the thing. Until further notice, I'm not reporting on these anymore because they're most of the time bullshit.
Yeah.
Until I see something either on a poster or on a trailer where I know it's actually going to happen because they've committed to it, I'm not going to report on it anymore because why should we? Where we just wasted airtime talking about it. Within 48 fucking hours, he wasn't even associated with the project anymore.
Yeah.
It's frustrating. It's a fucking... Dude, Joel Schumacher made 2 Batman movies. How the fuck can they not make one?
I don't know. They must be just the biggest assholes or something in talks because I don't know how they can go through shit like this. I've never seen... Have you seen anything like this?
Right. But the crazy thing, too, is right now, and maybe this is why, but right now, their 2 biggest characters are obviously Batman and the Flash because of the TV show. Do you think that's the reason why people are leaving? Because they are mandating like so much because they're like the flagships to them now? Because they didn't have any issues with Wonder Woman. We never had Jack. Like Wonder Woman was just like for the most part kind of good to go. Like they had one director change, I think, but it wasn't a shitstorm like this has been.
Yeah, and Aquaman trashed the script, but I only heard of that like once, I think.
Aquaman,
when Geoff Johns got on board, he trashed the script, and that was the last we heard about it.
And then, like for Aquaman, like they got James Wan, and that was the end of it. Like they never had shit go down with it. Like I don't understand. I don't understand how hard it is to. Hollywood is filled with people who would be good for this role, that would accept this role, but something weird is going on behind the scenes. Like, to me, what I was going to say when I was talking about the silver lining is the person I really wanted to see do this movie is Fede Alvarez, the Don't Breathe director, because I would love to see a more horror, attention to detail brought from the director. But who fucking knows if this movie's even going to happen? There's been now. The reason I didn't report on this either is because it was mostly rumor. There have been rumblings that Ben Affleck no longer wants to play the role, and if he didn't, can you fucking blame him?
No.
Like you watch Batman v Superman, and like you look at you look at the way he got in shape for that role, like the heart and soul he had to pour into that role, and then you hand him that script, I would be insulted.
And not only that, this movie, God knows if it's even going to happen, and he's sitting on that. What other movies can he be making himself, or what other movies could he be starring in? that he is pushing aside or saying no to
Yeah.
because he's got this coming up. So, I mean, reports are, well before he was ever even considered to be Batman in any movie, that the whole reason he even did Daredevil was because Batman's his favorite, and that was the closest he would ever get to being Batman.
Yeah.
And now he finally has it, and he's probably going to end up walking. Could you imagine?
To me, it's a shame because given what he had to work with, I actually did a really damn good job in the movie. Like, it could have been a colossal shit show. It could have been a disaster, and he actually turned in a pretty good performance. Like, I mean, people can nitpick it, but you're telling me the guy gave a pretty decent performance, and the script includes the Martha line? Like, that's a giant undertaking. Like, the guy had to show up on set and deliver that line.
We could do a whole podcast on Martha.
We could talk about it all day. Really quickly. Basically, everything we report on is courtesy of Collider, unless otherwise stated. This was a report per the Hollywood Reporter. Reeves has exited talks with Warner Brothers. The report notes that once things cool off, talks could resume. Not going to happen. You don't just walk into a meeting, say, I kind of want to do Batman. No, I don't want to do Batman. Yeah. You either accept it on the fucking spot because you want to fucking do it, or you don't. He's not coming back.
No, he's not coming back.
As of now, Reeves is no longer looking to take the helm. It's unclear why this happened, but he's currently deep in post-production on the VFX intensive War of the Planet of the Apes. Batman wouldn't be filming now anyway, because that's an irrelevant statement, because this movie is now pushed back to 2019, maybe. Question mark. We don't even know. But that's 2 years out.
At this point, it's the Batman ?
It's possible that Warner Brothers was intent on starting production now. No, or the movie wouldn't be slated for 2.5 years out.
No.
So, like, they're trying to provide them with silver linings and, like, outs, but no, they're just fucking it up. And I'm done talking about them. I'm done. Like,
I don't know. Warner Brothers, dude, they have their head so far up their ass on this. That is the only explanation for what's going on. And I've never thought about it, to point it out, but it does just seem to be the Flash and Batman. Man of Steel happened right quick. Wonder Woman, we'll be seeing soon, right?
3 months out. I believe it's May.
Yeah, so there's that. Like I said, Aquaman went through one script change, I believe. I believe it was just one. We've even had, some evolution on the Green Lantern movie. But Batman, of all fucking things, and the Flash are just stalled.
I think they're getting so far invested into those properties because they are terrified of fucking them up that they're preventing them from happening, period. And that's just kind of a shame, because it's almost like we're going to have a complete colossal makeover from the studio heads to even get these movies off the ground, which is disturbing, because, like, right now we live in a world where fucking half the shows on Netflix are Marvel. You've got Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and you've got like 2 or 3 different potential spinoffs for that in the works right now, and they can't get a Batman movie.
We live in a world where we're getting Ant-Man and the Wasp, and we can't get Batman.
Yeah, like we talked about last week, we're going to have 2 Ant-Man spinoff movies before we got 1 Batman spinoff movie. Like, that's all I can say. Yeah, how about we talk about some cool shit that's actually going to happen, Ron? How about that?
Yeah, that sounds better. This one kind of surprised me because I don't think I knew this little detail.
All right. Jon Favreau, he's coming off. I believe the last movie he did was the live-action Jungle Book, right? Wasn't that his last film?
I believe so.
So basically, they kind of pushed him into the role. He's not doing Beauty and the Beast, but he seems like he might be kind of the figurehead behind these animated Disney adaptations, because they have slated him as a director of the Lion King remake.
So which makes sense.
Yeah, if you can make
there's not even any people in it. It's still going to be a cartoon. It's just going to look really good.
And then you say Jungle Book was pretty solid. I still haven't seen it.
Yeah, Jungle Book is pretty solid. When my parents were watching the kids for me one day, I came in and my dad was watching it, and when I sat down, I finished like the last half again, and it was still pretty solid second time around.
And one of the best aspects of the first movie was how awesome the cast was, and it looks like that's continuing suit with here, because on a tweet, he announced that Donald Glover will be playing Simba, which is presumably going to be like the older version. Which, by the way, did you know Matthew Broderick was the older Simba in the original Lion King? I had no idea that was who the voice was.
As I've grown up, that movie has stunned me the more I learn about the cast. Because, it's a movie I never really thought about much. I'm not a huge Lion King fan. And I knew Jeremy Irons.
Oh, he's so good. They have
Whoopi
to get him
Goldberg.
back a Scar. They have to.
They
He's so
have
awesome.
to.
Because they've announced also, in addition to him as Simba, that James Earl Jones is reprising his role as Mufasa, which is pretty fucking cool. Like
Darth Mufasa.
I did really like The Lion King as a little kid. It was one of my. I've never been like a diehard Disney kid. Like growing up, I wasn't as invested in them as like some other kids were, but like I was much more invested. Aladdin was my number one. Lion King was probably like one of my top 2 or 3. It's kind of the way I feel about Lion King is how you feel about Beauty and the Beast. Like you really liked it, but it wasn't like the very top of your list. So that's kind of how I feel about Lion King. So I'm curious to see if anyone can make a live action Lion King work. It's one of the architects of the fucking MCU. That is a much harder thing to do than make the Lion King.
Dude, to me, since he's already done the Jungle Book, which is like, even to everyone I talked to about it, like the least interesting one to them, and everyone I know that saw it liked it.
I've never even finished the animated Jungle Book, and I actually want to watch his version of the movie.
I mean, to me, he's already proven he could do it. Because I mean, there's at least a human in.
And it's a smart move by Disney because Jon Favreau has shown that when you give him big movies, they make a lot of fucking money. Like the dude made Iron Man.
Yes.
The dude made a killing off of the Jungle Book. Lion King is a much bigger property than that.
Yeah. So, Lion King, I don't know. It just never really appealed to me, and that fucking video game made it even harder for me to like it.
That was also
game sucked, man.
That was also wasn't Lion King a little bit later than like Aladdin, where you were starting to get a little bit older, maybe like falling out of movies like that.
Maybe
I don't know. I get them mixed up. They had so many fucking movies from like 89 to 95 that I get them mixed up whenever they came out. But I will be curious to see what he does with it. So, Jon Favreau usually doesn't let us down.
Yeah, I'll be seeing it either way, whether I want to or not. I'm sure. My wife's a big Lion King person.
All right. While we're talking about big Disney projects starring Donald Glover, how about we talk a little bit of Han Solo? And they kind of broke the internet this week because Lucasfilm released maybe the coolest cast photo I've ever seen, because they released a mostly full cast photo of the Han Solo movie from the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon with Chewie there. Like, that's pretty fucking amazing.
It's pretty awesome. Yeah. I don't even know what to say about it.
I want to start off with saying Alden Ehrenreich, if you put a side-by-side with him and Harrison Ford, it's pretty damn close. Like, it's pretty close.
It's pretty close.
I was impressed by that. Let's run through just some of the people you see. Obviously you recognize Emilia Clarke. Woody Harrelson's also is in the image. Lord Miller, they have the directors there too. Jonas Suetamo, I'm surely butchering his name, but he's apparently the new Chewbacca because Peter Mayhew is too sick, I believe, to reprise the role for Force Awakens. So, I mean, it's kind of funny because it's Chewbacca, but actually it did a pretty good job on the performance because the way he moved, it seemed like he did a lot of studying of the old movies because I felt like I was watching the old Chewbacca. Like, I'm
pretty sure that poor man was just downright sick of Star Wars by the time he was finally in one.
I bet.
Because, like you said, it was like Peter Mayhew.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing.
Uh-oh.
I have a little bit of an anecdote to go along with this.
Okay.
I'm not gonna name names.
Damn it! What's even the point?
A couple of people that I know on Facebook that are so diehard into Star Wars, they make me look like a filthy casual. Like they're that into it.
Okay. Says the man in the BB-8 shirt.
Right. I'm not kidding when I say that. Like, these are the people who will have lightsabers at their wedding type of thing. Like that.
Yeah.
Crazy. They shared out this picture because it was going around Facebook on my timeline. Like some of us were sharing it around. The caption one of them put with it was, "I'm feeling a lot better about this now." And I sat back and I was like, "Are you fucking high?" Because I want to list out. We already listed that fucking cast, which is fucking amazing, and they don't even have the full cast. Like they have other people that are really good that aren't even in the picture, like Tanny Newton from Westworld. She's really good, but just the crew, Lord and Miller, have never done anything less than like an 8 out of 10 for most people.
Right.
Like they're just crazy. The writers are Lawrence and John Kasdan. Lawrence Kasdan wrote the fucking Empire Strikes Back. The cinematographer is the Oscar-nominated cinematographer from Arrival. His name is Bradford Young. The Rogue One production designer is working on this, and you saw from the trailers, Rogue One looked damn cool, just from a visual perspective. Like it looked pretty
Visually
damn cool.
It did.
Their editor is the Oscar-winning editor of Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz, which was news to me, which I was like, the crew is ridiculous. Like it might be the most talented assembled crew and cast of any movie going right now. And their reply was, "I'm feeling better about this." Like this has much more going for it than Episode 8 does. Just as far as crew and cast does, much like it's apples and oranges.
Yeah.
So I just thought I wanted to include that just to basically have an excuse to like reel off that crew, because it is impressive how they have assembled everyone for this film.
Just that cast photo alone is pretty impressive. And then, like you said, you mentioned all the people in the background on it, and honestly, I don't see how it could be a bad movie. You know?
Yeah,
it can't fail at this point.
I feel better about this than any other movie they've done.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Rian Johnson. He's the writer and director of Episode 8. I love everything. I mean, he's the guy who did Looper and did some of the more famous Breaking Bad episodes. I love him, but just from a cast and crew perspective, this is maybe not even just Star Wars, maybe the strongest assembled film in front of and behind the screen of anything going right now. Infinity War is a little bit of a cheat because half of Hollywood is working on that fucking movie. But out of a realistic movie.
Do you mean the movie that's gonna have, I think they said 40 plus superheroes on screen at one time? Is that the movie you're referring to?
They will have enough time to fit in like 3 post-credit scenes because they're gonna have credits that run for like half an hour. Like, but yeah, the Star Wars celebration is slated for April 13th through 16th at the Orange County Convention Center. That is where I believe we will have probably a decent-sized trailer for Episode 8 because they've already been filming it, and I'm expecting at least like a 10 or 15-second teaser for Han Solo. They'll have enough time to have some type of teaser for Han Solo, I think, by then.
I think one thing that's been popular with them lately is the like the black screen with voiceovers and then logo. I think that's what we'll get.
All you have to make all of that convention center jizz in their pants is fucking Woody Harrelson talking to Han Solo, pop up, show Ehrenreich in the costume, and then end it with like the Chewbacca scream, and everyone will have wet pants in the building. Like, or the scene you've always talked about. Just have the poker game for like 10 seconds. Just have the poker game for 10 seconds, and everyone will lose their fucking minds.
It just drops the keys on the table, and the keychain is a miniature Millennium Falcon.
Like you do that, or like all the teaser is Lando, Donald Glover in the Lando costume, raising, and Han Solo. You flip around, don't even have to show his face. All he has to say is "I call." That's the end of the teaser. Everyone will lose their fucking minds. There's a million different ways they could go about it, but I think we will see something, and I'm super excited because they've shown so far at the Star Wars celebrations, they put the shit up on YouTube like immediately. So we will be covering that shit. We might even have to do emergency podcasts for some of the stuff because, I mean, when they're flagships like Han Solo in Episode 8, they get to show that, like, it is going to be crazy.
Yeah, we'll probably do that. The Star Wars Celebration and maybe D23.
Yeah. All right. One thing that we noticed when we were compiling the podcast was it's a pretty damn good week to be a Game of Thrones star because we have a few more to get to. Shane Black revealed a cast photo of his own movie upcoming, and it's a little property called The Predator. I mean, I don't know.
Never heard of it.
I don't know if you'd be interested in a Predator movie directed by Shane Black. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I feel like he has some potential.
Without Ryan Gosling, I don't know that I can handle it.
I kind of want to see Ryan Gosling just as his nice guy's character, just being chased by the Predator.
Just him and Russell Crowe and Predator. That's all I need. Predator can be in the back seat with the bee.
Just $1 billion fucking project right there. But yeah, he revealed this week the cast photo. Let's see. Pictured. It looks like the lead is going to be Boyd Holbrook, which you haven't started Narcos yet, have you?
Not yet.
Narcos. He's the main guy. He's also the main villain. It looks like in Logan. So he's popping up in bigger projects. He's a really, really great actor. I'm glad to see him getting bigger projects. Additionally, they have this is listed from Collider. Moonlight Breakout, Trevante Rhodes. I haven't seen Moonlight. I can't comment on him. They have Olivia Munn. I like Olivia Munn.
I like Olivia Munn.
They have Key from Key and Peele. Sterling K. Brown, which I believe was the guy who got some either wins or Golden Globe noms for the OJ show on FX, the Cuba Gooding one that everyone really liked that I still need to watch. The kid actor they have in the movie is actually interesting too because it's Jacob Tremblay. Did you ever watch Room?
No, I did not.
That's the movie with him and Brie Larson that she won the Oscar for. They're fantastic in it because the whole movie takes place inside one room for the most part. So it's just them having to carry the movie based off performance. And then for a kid, he's fucking great in that movie. So I highly recommend that movie. It will.
The one that stuns me is Key.
He seems a little out of place, right?
He's standing there in like almost dressed like a mercenary with a submachine gun.
Here's the thing, though. You and I didn't like Ryan Gosling until The Nice Guys. Now he's one of like our favorite people on the planet. So he can kind of do it with anyone. And Shane Black can write a fucking script. It'll be funny.
Yes.
So I think he's probably the comic relief of the movie. So he actually will be suited for it.
I've got a feeling he's gonna have basically all the one-liners. He's gonna be like the Will Smith of the movie probably.
And the Game of Thrones attachment that I teased it with is Alfie Allen, Theon Greyjoy himself, will be playing in the movie. We don't know yet if the Predator will be taking off his member, if you get what I'm saying. But
the only thing that can make this movie any better is if in the movie, before Predator shows up, Alfie Allen steals Keanu Reeves' car and shoots his dog.
Oh, dude.
And then next thing you know, it's John Wick v. Predator.
I'm gonna need a moment. Okay, we can resume.
It'll be John Wick v. Predators because we all know how it's gonna go against one. Keanu Reeves just like ripping out their spine and their skull.
Keanu Reeves just has like a fucking necklace of predator faces. And the thing is Keanu Reeves is such a badass right now, no one would question shit.
No one would question it.
Oh my god, I just want to watch John Wick now.
You can't. I have it over here.
Funny story. You know, I was telling you my buddy and I were going back to watch the first one.
Yeah.
Because he hadn't seen it. I was like, we're watching that fucking movie. So I told him I would bring it over for us to watch it one certain night, right? Like last week. And then I went to go find it. I was like, fuck, Ron has it. So I went and bought it on Amazon digitally while it was on sale. So I
Did you really?
I fucking own it on Blu-ray and digitally.
I was going to ask you because you told me that you guys went back and watched it. And I was sitting there like, What, did his friend own it and he never opened it? Like, how did they watch it?
Well, first of all, if he owned John Wick and never opened it to watch it, we wouldn't be friends because that's his fucking fault. But no, it was on sale for like $7 on HD on Amazon. So I was just like, I will support you guys. I will buy John Wick again because I love you that much.
Support what you love, man.
But we are going tomorrow, I believe, to watch the second one because he hadn't watched the second one yet. So I will end up watching John Wick or John Wick 2 a grand total of 5 times over the course of 2 weeks. And I would watch it a 6th time.
Jeff, what is your honest opinion about the John Wick franchise?
It's overrated. I mean, it's okay.
I don't recommend it.
I mean, if watching glorious bloody murder for 2 hours is your thing, I mean, I don't know. But yeah, we were totally off topic here. Shane Black's Predator, one of my most anticipated movies, period, right now.
Oh my God, I want it, and I want it now.
Yeah.
Real quick, I know we've just been on a fucking tangent for the last 10 minutes, but what was your take on Predators? Because I feel like I'm the only person that liked it.
I liked it. I didn't think, obviously, it wasn't as strong as the first one for me, because the first one's just a classic. It's fucking brilliant.
Get to the top.
I thought it was perfectly fine. Like, I didn't have any strong issues with it. I didn't think it was amazing. Like, it wasn't one that I would buy, but it was one of those where I was perfectly fine watching it. Like, I thought it was.
Well, I ran right out and fucking bought it the first chance I got.
You are more of a Predator guy than I am, though. Like, I love the first one, but you're a bigger fan of the character and the concept more so than I am.
Fucking love that concept. I'll tell you this much: Shane Black changed how I look at Ryan Gosling. Fucking Predators changed the way I look at Adrian Brody, dude.
Yeah, you buy him as a hard ass in that movie.
He was a mercenary in that movie that was picked up, and he sold it pretty good.
Because like
he was my favorite character.
When they cast him, they're like, the piano players fighting the Predator.
That was my reaction to it. But that was my exact reaction to it. And I was like, was he gonna have sex with it like in Splice? Like what the fuck is happening?
The tagline they missed a golden opportunity. I would have made the tagline Pianist v Predator. PvP. I want that. If we had fans, I would commission somebody to Photoshop that, because I would fucking print that out and mount it on the wall. PvP.
PvP.
Oh my god, it's good stuff. No, when this, I think what I'll do though is I love the first one. I liked Predators. I don't really remember the sequel with Danny Glover. I might just run through them all again before the new one comes out.
I have the box set, so.
Of course you do. I'll be borrowing that as soon as I get.
Hey, if you don't own AVP and you want it, I have a duplicate because the box set included AVP. So.
Of course you have a duplicate of AVP.
Dude,
of course you do.
Dude, I came at the announcement of AVP. Okay. AVP. My two biggest things is Alien and Predator. Yeah. I was like, you mean you're gonna get Alien in my Predator and Predator in my Alien?
Yeah.
I mean, that's two great tastes that taste great together.
Yeah, when you think about it, like everyone like sucks Marvel's nuts for having like this great interconnected universe. Freddy versus Jason and AVP did it before Marvel did, didn't they?
Dude, Predator 2 more technically did it before any of them did, because in the background, in the case on the Predator ship, is a xenomorph skull along with a whole bunch of other skulls.
I feel like I knew that, but I had totally forgotten about it. I need to watch them again. Didn't you say before the second one's not as bad as everyone makes it out to be too? Like it's decent?
Not nearly as bad as everybody makes it out to be.
It's just not nearly as good as the first one, which isn't a bad thing because the first one's a classic.
Yeah, and
there was no way in hell they're gonna make it as good as the first one.
The original Predators script was actually titled Predator 3, and it was written at the same time as Predator 2, but it was thrown on the shelf because Predator 2 sucked so bad at box office and critically that it took that long. I don't remember when Predators came out, but it took that long for them to dust the script off, update it, and cast Adrian Brody and make the movie.
And Topher Grace was an interesting call too, who actually did really good in that movie.
Oh my dude, he was unsettling.
I was very impressed by him in that movie.
I was too.
Without spoiling anything. All right, we got one more bit of news to get through. We're gonna get through real quick because we want to move on to our discussion. Continuing the Game of Thrones alum theme, I'm gonna butcher the fuck out of his name because Ramsay, the actor, is the one fucking character on that show whose real life name is harder to pronounce than his fucking Game of Thrones name. Because the way he pronounces his name is Iwan Rheon. It's a Welsh pronunciation that has.
It sounds like a Game of Thrones character.
His real name is more of a fucking GRRM name than the fucking character's name.
See, I was looking at I was like, Iwan Rheon? Who does that to their kid?
Yeah. He either sounds like a Game of Thrones character or like a fucking Bond villain, like something. He has been casted in the much poo-pooed on this very podcast Inhumans project that Marvel is working on.
Did you just on There Will Be Expletives say poo-pooed instead of like shit on?
I did. You see the dramatic irony I'd used on Bobby?
Oh god.
My interest level in this went from right here to like boom in one cast choice.
So, are you saying you feel better about this now?
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. There will be much less poo-pooing on the Inhumans project. He will be playing the role of Maximus. Again, his character is easier to pronounce than his real fucking name. Okay, here's the thing. I don't know jack shit about the Inhumans, which I actually like because I can go into this blind.
Yes.
It's one of the things I like so much about the Thor movies is I don't know jack shit about Thor, so most of it's a surprise to me. This was according to Marvel.com talking about it. Marvel's Inhumans will explore the never-before-told epic adventure of Black Bolt. I had heard of Black Bolt. That's like the one character I'd heard of.
Never heard of Black Bolt.
And the royal family. In the series, Maximus is a clever and charming Inhuman that is fiercely devoted to the people of Attilan. I might be fucking that up. I don't know.
Sure.
Especially his brother, the king, although he harbors an intense desire to wear the crown himself. So basically, he'll start out a good guy and become the main bad guy.
So, Inhuman Loki.
Fucking sold. Fucking sold. I'm cool with that. That guy is so good at making you want to just slap him across the face until he dies. Like he can do anything. Yeah. I'm super impressed by.
He's also one of my candidates for a Joker I would like to see.
Yeah, I would be. It's one of those things where he would have to really fine tune it because he doesn't want to just do the same performance again. But I think he could. I think he could.
I think he could too. That guy is. I want to dislike him so much because of Game of Thrones because he's so good at making you fucking hate him.
Just like the Joffrey kid.
Yes.
Like could not have done his job any fucking better than those two. Now this is the same Inhumans project where they're talking about doing I guess it's confirmed now. Greg Foster, the CEO of IMAX Entertainment, has said that the first 2 episodes will debut exclusively in IMAX theaters across all territories on or around September 1st. It's a 2-week theatrical run, which is interesting to me. So these episodes will be theatrically run through IMAX, but then will not air on ABC until the first episode premieres on September 26th, which is very odd.
So I have to stay off of social media for 25 days to avoid spoilers.
Basically, fortunately...
Geoff, you're saying I can't take a dump for 25 days.
You can't take a poo-poo?
I'm fucking done with this podcast.
Podcast done. Mic dropped.
Apparently that's all that's dropping.
Yeah. Fucking
other than our viewership.
I've completely derailed my whole train of thought. Fortunately, this is Inhumans and not like Game of Thrones. I don't think they're going to kill off half the cast in the first episode. I kind of wish they would because it'd be kind of cool and ballsy. But yeah, I will be watching this when before I was actually more afraid this would end up fucking up Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. more than end up being its own thing. Fortunately, this shows they're going to be bringing out the big guns for the casting. It's going to be its own thing. Good on you, Marvel. Also, I forget where it was, but on Twitter they were putting up side-by-side pics of the actor and the character. He even looks just like him.
Yes, he
A
does.
fucking plus job. Did you have anything else you wanted to add on that?
Nope, because I don't know jack shit about anything going on to even add to it.
He's a great actor. He'll do a great job. It's Marvel. It'll at least be solid.
Yeah, and it's not fucking with my shield. So that I am very happy with.
I love how Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has come around so fucking far. We were worried that something else might be fucking it up. Like, that it is so good that was our main concern.
I didn't think I was going to get through that first season, and then Winter Soldier happened. If anyone is watching this or listening to this or somehow whatever, and you ditched S.H.I.E.L.D. in the first season, please go back.
Yeah, now you don't have to sit to the shit. Watch the pilot. Cut ahead to like episode 14 or 15. You will not be missing much. Because most of the character development, most of the character development doesn't happen until later seasons anyway.
Yep.
So you're fine. Watch the pilot, and then skip to like episode 14 or 15 whenever they started tying out the Winter Soldier. Cut ahead 2 years later, it was Ron's #1 show of 2016. It is that good now.
It's fun, and it may be going again. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to see what they do with it. It's Marvel. It'll at least be solid on Inhumans. We will wait and see in September. All right, Ron, you want to get to our topic?
Yes.
We are continuing our epic saga of tracking the evolution of comic book adaptations. You can listen to the first half of this conversation last week. In typical Ron and Geoff fashion, it was going to be a one-off, and then we rambled for like 3 hours, and this is probably going to end up being like a 12-part series, I guess. Because last week we kind of ran down mostly just film. This week's is going to be primarily focused on television comic book adaptations. But before we jump into that, was there anything else, because you kind of had to go in cold last time, was there anything else you wanted to add to last week's conversation as kind of like an epilogue to it?
I mean, not really. I mean, I could, but we did a pretty good job expounding on everything last time. Because I was thinking, like, we did gloss over movies like Daredevil and stuff like that. I don't even think we mentioned Daredevil.
Mostly, okay, like what our last week's version was kind of like the stepping stones from going from like good to great. Yes. We could at some point do like a missteps portion and talk about where shit went wrong or almost went horribly awry. We could end up doing like an appendix type of thing to it. So
yeah. So I mean, we always could, but yeah, because I mean, we could talk all day on movies like Catwoman.
Don't fucking say that. Oh my god, I have just like a twitch when you fucking say that movie's name.
The ones that confuse us, like the original Spider-Man trilogy versus the Amazing Spider-Man duo. I don't know what do you call just two movies?
Andrew Garfield no longer getting a paycheck. I believe that's what you call it.
But yeah, because those were just confusing for me, because I disliked Spider-Man in one and loved the villains. The other one, I loved Spider-Man and the villains kind of fell flat. So why can't I get them together? But
you're getting it now. In July you're getting it.
Fuck yes. So yeah, there's a whole lot more to talk about on this.
We eventually, what's going to happen is Ron and I are going to completely run out of discussion topics, and we will just revisit it because we could talk about comic book adaptations all day long. But we will, for today's, just for the sake of clarity, we will focus primarily on television. Did you do any notes for this time?
Nope.
Okay.
As you just throw yours over the shoulder.
Luckily, I came prepared. I almost made her onto a spit take. Now we can end the show. I almost killed Ron.
No, you almost killed my monitor and the mic.
If you had done a spit take, we would have gotten more hits. So you're kind of a prick.
I would have had to have added like the water effect on the camera as it's like running down. We
need to find an excuse to throw back in the please stand by technical difficulty slide that you used in the past.
Yes.
When I almost broke your monitor that one time on Dark Souls. Okay. All right, Ron. First thing I'm going to start us off on is I believe TV is the future of comic book adaptations because, like comics themselves, television is episodic. I think it lends itself to the format more clearly. The reason why we have issues with, like, specifically you mentioned the Spider-Man trilogy and duo, I guess we'll refer to it.
Do you know what to call it?
I don't know if it's called anything. I think it's just called I feel really bad for Andrew Garfield. That's just all it's called. But the reason you have, and so many of us had issues with Spider-Man as far as like, I don't like Spidey in this version, I don't like the villains in this version, is because there's only so much time in a fucking movie.
Yeah.
You can do a television show even poorly, like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. did, and you have time. Usually, unless if you're not, I mean, if you're on Fox, you're fucked. Usually, you will have time.
Even if you're good, you're fucked on Fox.
Exactly.
And NBC, apparently.
You have time because of the format to make it episodic and get it back to where you want it to go, or just get your feet under you.
And what I like about TV also is a format that has been very popular recently, which I am totally okay with, is if you don't want to do a full series, 8-part miniseries have been very popular recently.
Legion is fucking awesome. we didn't mention it. Legion's an 8-episode miniseries, or at least for now it is. It might get extended later. Inhumans is also an 8-episode series, which is good.
Yeah.
Like, tell your story as efficiently as possible, and it's usually going to be a better product.
And
don't be The Walking Dead.
Stuff like that can continue, but stuff that's based on books have been doing a lot lately. Like the one that jumps out at me is The Night Manager, I believe, is based on a book. And instead of doing a movie where they have 2 hours to tell the story in a book where you easily spend 5-8 hours in anyway reading, you're getting it in 8 hours on TV. So
they're doing it specifically. It works perfectly as well for Stephen King novels, because like 11/22/63 was made that way.
Yes.
They have a few more. Castle Rock is being made that way. There's another one coming up on Netflix that I'm curious about.
And it being, and this is getting off topic a little bit, but it's still kind of relevant. It being kind of the golden age of TV right now, you can get the quality actors that you want, or the big names to draw people in that you want. It's not as difficult as it was in the 90s or early 2000s.
Absolutely.
There was a point where you were too big for TV. Now it's a point where I want to be on TV, you know?
Yep. And that was kind of like my opening statements, because I guess I prepared this like a fucking attorney. Like, with this one, I spent a little bit more time going back, because with the movie section, primarily we were talking about the stepping stones to the MCU. Basically, that was kind of like the gist of last week. So it was starting, like, I started with Blade. The closest point to getting the ball rolling was Blade. That's where I focus on. With this, I felt it was important to go further back, because what also is included within television is cartoons.
Yes.
And to me, the very first thing, because like, I'm going to go back really far. We're going to do it in separate sections moving to now, because cartoons are so important for comic book adaptations, because everyone that is into comics usually is pretty invested in them. You know, like you and I are, for the most part, we're usually found wearing like a Batman t-shirt or a Punisher t-shirt or something. Usually it gets in your blood.
Right.
Shit that gets in your blood typically happened during your childhood. Like, you know, the first thing I ever remember being a fan of was Batman the Animated Series. If my dad doesn't show me Batman the Animated Series, I don't think we're having this conversation right now, because that
Batman
is like
'89 for me.
That Batman the Animated Series was the backbone for basically my fandom of everything comic related.
Yeah.
But the first one that I think got into people's blood was Max Fleischer's Superman. Almost any time you see in a special feature on a DVD for a comic book movie, if you talk to the directors or the writers or like the storyboard artist, they almost always bring up Max Fleischer's Superman, because that was really the first time you ever saw comics brought to life. Like, it was very important to not
And
only just
the animation style just kind of blew your mind. Also,
it's
even
still
for the
gorgeous to this day. It's
I mean,
so cool.
if you've never seen it, just you can go on YouTube and YouTube Max Fleischer Superman. You'll get, I guarantee you will type in Max and then like FL and it'll be suggested to you.
Yeah, and it's still gorgeous to this day.
Yeah.
It was very timelessly done, beautiful animation. And then
The one that I sent you is the one that always stuck out in my mind. I've seen them all, but the only one I remember is the asteroid being pulled into Earth and him trying to stop it. Because that thing tumbling and just throwing shit off of it and stuff. And it's the first time also, it's Max Fleischer's cartoon, and it's the first time that I had ever thought about, it's not just the one rock coming in, because as he's stopping that one, littler ones are coming in and destroying shit.
Yeah, exactly. Max Fleischer Superman was it's one of the biggest influences on Batman the Animated Series as well, because Bruce Timm from the get-go, that was like, if you watch some of his documentaries and stuff from behind the scenes of that cartoon, Fleischer was on his mind the entire time when they were designing everything and doing the storyboards. Like when they ended up doing the animation choice to where it started out being on black paper instead of white paper because they were accenting it that way.
Yeah.
The next one is a lot of kids that grew up with Max Fleischer Superman grow up, they start making their own shit, and then 20 years later you go into the 60s. Batman 66 was incredibly influential to not just Batman, but it was one of the first things that got obviously Batman, but just kind of like comic characters in general, kind of people actually seeing it brought to live action, which is important.
Not only that, what was important was, and yeah, it's a totally different type of show, totally different Batman than what we think of today, but it worked for kids on one level because it was Batman brought to life, and on another level it was a sitcom almost for adults. I mean, it was one of the first times all the way back in 1966 that it wasn't just a kid thing.
And you know what's so cool is I just realized how your introduction into comics, or just comic book stuff in general, was Batman 89. Mine was the animated series. My dad's is Batman 66.
Yeah.
It's just like shows you like, and they're all so different. It shows you the versatility, of just these characters and how, because like it's almost insulting to the characters to try to cram them into a 2-hour movie when you think of some of these characters like Batman have been around since 1939. Like longevity, it's like the longest running stories ever. Because like there has been some form of Batman comic running since May of 1939 when Detective Comics 27 hit newsstands. That is mind-numbing.
Pretty much since the beginning of World War II.
It's crazy. It's fucking crazy. You get a little bit further ahead, 70s, you start seeing Super Friends. Super Friends was a pretty influential cartoon. We still, when you think Aquaman, you fucking think of Super Friends.
Dude, Super Friends was important because all the action figures in your toy chest were on the screen at the same time. That just didn't happen.
Yeah. You get a little bit further ahead, kind of piggybacking off of Batman 66, the live action versions of Wonder Woman, Linda Carter's Wonder Woman, and the Hulk.
Yes.
People watch those that didn't even like comic book stuff. They just watched them because they were pretty good TV shows, and that's important too, because you could have had 30 years, a ton of people that are watching the MCU movies or watching like Daredevil or Jessica Jones on Netflix have never picked up a comic in their life. They're just watching them because they're good stories.
Or, in the case of the Hulk, it's got some good music at the end.
I love it. I love it.
Sadly, I think that is more popular than the Hulk himself.
Why don't we have sad Hulk music on this channel? Why isn't that a drop?
I don't know. I don't know.
You have failed the city.
You know how many times we could have used that in like any of our playthroughs?
Exactly. Which is a lot because we die a lot.
Yes.
And then I teased it a little bit earlier, but my introduction to everything was primarily Batman the Animated Series, but also, you will agree with me too, the Spider-Man cartoon of the 90s was very influential. You and I are still diehard Spidey fans to this day, mostly because of that cartoon.
Yeah, that cartoon, Batman the Animated Series, and that Spider-Man cartoon It was just incredible because both of them, and Spider-Man probably not as much as Batman the Animated Series, but both of them really kind of showed that it doesn't have to be necessarily a kid's thing. And even if it is, it doesn't have to fall to that level, if that makes any sense. There's quality in the story writing. There's continuity between the episodes. There's continuity between seasons. That was unheard of before those two shows almost, because everything else was kind of a week-to-week kind of thing.
Like Super Friends. Yeah.
Yes.
The X-Men cartoon of the 90s was also really good. I didn't grasp it as much as I did the other two, but it was still a really good cartoon for the time.
I watched it.
Yeah, I watched it a lot too.
I had my favorites, and I watched it, and those favorites influenced my favorites in the movies that we have now. But
love watching Wolverine pop his fucking claws and kick everyone in sight. It was glorious because he couldn't cut anybody.
Right. He would like cut a gun in half and then kick him in the crotch.
And if you're I think the key is if you're clever enough, everything you write into those shows that are adult-oriented jokes are written cleverly enough to where they go over the head of younger kids. The Justice League cartoon has so much innuendo, it is almost crazy going back and watching it. Like
Flash and Hot Girl. I'm the fastest man alive. Maybe that's why you can't get a date.
That is exactly the one I was thinking. It's like when you watch it as an adult, you almost have to like pause it and it's like, did they just say what I think they did?
There's one where him and Lex change bodies.
Yeah.
And Lex is Flash basically, and Lex's girlfriend was like, oh, you know what? We should get some rest. Why don't we go in here? And they go into a bedroom, and when the door shuts, you hear Flash, who's in Lex Luthor's body, say, "That's not restful."
I love it.
I just recently ran through Justice League again, and my mind exploded. Every season they had at least one big one.
It's crazy. The next one I have that was the bulk of kind of like the more kid friendly stuff, because I think it is incredibly important for these characters that like just these generations we're talking of, the 60s to the 90s, a ton of the people that have been working on everything from Blade to Captain America Civil War and everything in between grew up in one of these decades, and for the most part grasped a hold of these products.
The reason they're doing what they're doing is because of Batman 66, Batman 89, Batman the Animated Series, everything.
Maybe the reason that I want to be a writer is because the first thing I was ever a fan of was Batman the Animated Series. And you just like the most impressive, I always say as an aspiring writer, the absolute most impressive thing is being able to write something that is accessible to all ages, because it is so difficult. Because when you think about it, if you're writing something as an adult, you're writing it just because the way you interact. Like when you walk up to your child, you don't talk to your child the same way you talk to an adult. So when you sit down to write, you almost communicate the same way. You're communicating for the most part, to adults. So to be able to write something that is that good and that accessible across all ages is almost impossible, because you have to, at the same time, make it accessible, but don't talk down. And it's so difficult. I can't do it. I can only write adult-oriented material. I just can't do it, because my brain just cannot function that way. And it's crazy to me just to even think about it.
Yeah, and then the thing that got me about something like, say, Batman Animated Series, like you're talking about making it accessible to all ages. The thing that got me is a show that is more or less marketed to kids can have something as impactful as Heart of Ice.
I knew as soon as you started that sentence, I knew exactly where it was going, because it's the one I always think of too.
Dude, where does that even come from? I don't even know how Paul Dini, that was a Paul Dini episode, right? I'm 90% sure.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even know how the guy did that. I remember him talking to Kevin Smith saying he cried just writing the script.
Yeah.
And then rereading it, he cried again at his own script. So,
Paul Dini, he's his show was so good that I don't know if you know this, but he was Mr. Freeze when he was actually created wasn't called Mr. Freeze. He was actually called Mr. Zero.
Yeah.
And he didn't actually have an origin until that episode. And the episode was so fucking good that based off of a 20-minute cartoon, DC Comics retconned the fucking origin to Paul Dini's like within a year.
Yeah.
That's unheard of.
Yeah, he's done that twice. He did that to
Harley
Mr. Freeze and Harley Quinn.
And Harley Quinn. He officially created Harley Quinn. He might as well have created Mr. Freeze the way we know him.
He basically did, yeah. If you think of Mr. Freeze in anything except that goddamn Batman and Robin.
Movie. Ruined it. Fucking Joel Schumacher ruining it for everyone.
My God. But yeah, if you think of him in the Arkham games or any cartoons or anything that you see him in, that's Paul Dini's handiwork.
Absolutely.
Because he was a Z-list villain, right? Now he's like A-list.
Yeah. He's my... I think he's my second favorite Batman. My top three are number one's the Joker, and then it's Ra's al Ghul and Mr. Freeze. They've always been my top three favorites. So Mr. Freeze and Al Ghul go back and forth, but it's so close. I mean, it's mostly based off that one heartbreakingly good 20-minute cartoon.
Yeah.
That left so much of an impact on everyone that it's still in continuity today. It's just nuts. The next one I want to talk about really quickly, Smallville. Smallville was actually pretty I mean, it's campy and it's dated, but when you think about the importance of so many of the CW shows we have right now, it's based off the backbone of they were able to have a DC Superman related show last for fucking 10 years on a network, you know.
Yeah.
It's pretty important. It's not the best, but it's pretty important for the evolution of all of the shows because we might not have like any. We might not have Legends of Tomorrow right now if it wasn't for Smallville. So I think it deserves mention.
What did Lewis and Clark do? Like 5 or 6 seasons?
Something
Did they
like
even do
that.
that much?
Something like that.
So yeah, it's like Superman for some reason been around for a while. I mean, we had George Reeves, Lewis and Clark. I feel like there was one in between I skipped over, and then Smallville, and now we've got Supergirl. I'm going to throw that in there because that's, I mean, come on. To Kryptonian on TV, it's close enough.
Absolutely. Here's while we're talking about how Smallville kind of led to stuff like Legends and Flash and Arrow, I actually wanted to talk a little bit about here because I think this isn't so much as right now talking about like the history. It's more of kind of talking about the here and now and where they go forward. My thing on most of these shows right now is I think you are really helping yourself out if you're using ensemble casts. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Legends of Tomorrow are so much better than Flash and Arrow because of this, I think. I think they have...
Arrow this season is trying to have ensemble.
Arrow is much better this season than it has been for absolutely, but Legends and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. can rotate in and out characters. Again, it adds to the long-term basis of comics.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like with Legends, they've had 2 wildly different casts from the first season to just the second season, and it's a totally different type of show. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., how many times has Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. totally revamped the whole cast?
Yeah.
I think it really helps you because it keeps it from being stagnant. What is up with the Flash? He's doing the same goddamn shit he did in episode 1.
Yep.
Same goddamn shit. They have literally run themselves in circles around the same plot line over and over and over again, and now I'm fucking done. That is what has happened.
Pretty much. They just take the one formula and change it's just the one script for every episode, and they just use find and replace in Microsoft Word to change character names. And that is basically it.
Just to recap, like this, like the running theme is longevity. 2 years ago, my number one TV show from season 1 would have been The Flash over everything. Cut ahead to now, 2.5 years later. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was your number 1. It was my number 5, and neither of us are watching The Flash.
Yeah.
It just tells you, like, these formats, they don't lend well, and the Justice League cartoon. How many different casts did they rotate in and out? And it always kind of felt fresh. They did a good job.
And not only that, that cartoon didn't always star everybody. It would star like 2 of them paired off.
That's why I think the only one of those shows that really has a prayer is Legends of Tomorrow. Because not only do they have the time travel element, but they can next season they could have, 6 different leads than they do right now, and it can still work because they're rotating in and out characters that are fresh for right now.
Right.
You know, they're not. Flash is fucked because how many more times can they write Barry Allen running around making a tornado to fix the problem?
Right.
It's just one of those things. My next
That's one of the reasons why usually their crossovers are so good.
Yeah, the characters that are stagnant in their own shows have time to shine because they have different characters to play off of. Like Barry Allen was a lot better character in those crossovers than he was in his own show. Stephen Amell does as good of a job as he can in Arrow, but when he's playing off of these other great characters like he was in the crossovers, when he gets to play basically like the Batman in the room, it's really fun, and you can tell in the performance they're actually having fucking fun doing it. You know.
Yeah.
The next one I want to talk about is the introduction of the Netflix MCU shows of having rated R Marvel TV shows that hit pretty strong on Netflix's ratings. So we've gotten so many of them now between Jessica Jones and they added Luke Cage, and we're getting Iron Fist within we have Iron Fist in less than a month. Yes. And it is fortunate this camera only goes down to here. I'm just saying. I cannot wait for that.
Again, just to reiterate, this is a world where we're looking forward to an Iron Fist show and maybe not get a Batman movie.
An Iron Fist show is happening before a Batman movie. What the fuck is happening? We could do an entire podcast on what the fuck is wrong with the Batman movie right now. But I think the thing that is most important about the Marvel Netflix shows so far, and they've been a little bit hit or miss, but for the most part, is the villains have been great.
Yes. And they have time to flesh them out.
Exactly. They have time to flesh them out. They don't have to hold back. They can do whatever the hell you want. I walk up to my car and I have convulsions because I think of the Kingpin scene with the car door. Like
my god.
Now sometimes they don't know which ones to focus on, looking at you, Luke Cage, but Luke Cage has a couple of damn good villains in the show.
Yes.
And you and I have talked about it. Villains are our thing when it comes to this. So let's see. Did you have anything else you wanted to add about the Netflix stuff?
Just that another thing that makes it really interesting is their interconnectivity and how it's all going to tie into the Defenders.
What's cool too is they can kind of they have their own interconnectivity that is within the universe but also outside, because the Defenders and the Avengers don't have anything at all to do with each other. They feel like they're still in the same universe, but then the Defenders, they take, and outside of Jessica Jones, I think they use their R rating really cleverly. They don't just do it usually for shock value. Usually it's to add to the characters. Like with Luke Cage, I thought it did a really good job of having it be adult, but it wasn't shock value R rated. It was to show kind of the repercussions of his powers usually. You can't punch Luke Cage. You can't. Or bad shit happens to you. Daredevil, you see how much he gets physically abused doing what he's doing, and he's still devoted to it. It's kind of like Batman in that way.
And you see a lot of bones popping out of arms and legs,
and it's awesome every time. And then the last note that I had for kind of the current crop of shows is I'm gonna bring up a dirty word that is at least now, but The Walking Dead I actually think was pretty important because it was the launching pad for comic adaptations that weren't superhero stuff. Because of The Walking Dead could have been a great show if they had an endpoint in mind when they originally started it and it became successful. But without The Walking Dead, you don't have Preacher. You don't have Outcast. You don't have a lot of these cool smaller projects pop up, I think, right now, if you don't have The Walking Dead, because they showed that they were profitable potentially if you do them right.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
There are other examples I could throw out, but my mind's going blank.
The biggest one that popped into my head was Preacher. The Preacher, there's no way Preacher happens without Walking Dead.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, it's interesting to me about the Marvel stuff, how they just kind of ignore it, and I don't understand. There is no reason why Infinity War can't just have cameos as the camera's going through the streets. You see fucking Daredevil and Luke Cage back to back breaking shit.
That's going to be the most we'll get is a like single frame cameo because they just don't have time.
But they're not even going to give us that. To them, it doesn't exist, and I don't understand. They're all successful. Jessica Jones, which I don't understand, still kind of breaks the internet about a lot of stuff. Like I still see hashtags and shit pop up today.
Most of the time,
Jones
like
season 1.
Most of the time when I happen to click on one of those clickbait type of reviews where they're like the top 10 current comic book shows, Jessica Jones is always like number 1 or number 2.
Yeah.
Which is odd because I get where they're coming from as far as like how different it is, but they have more writing flaws than any of the rest of the shows combined.
Yeah, there was a lot wrong with their scripts.
Their characters kind of at some point towards like the 3/4 the way through the season start to make stupid ass decisions.
Outside of Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and the Purple Man, I really don't care about any of their characters.
Oh God, her fucking
radio show friend.
Her what's her? No. Well, not just her. I didn't think she was too bad, but the junkie dude who they kept trying desperately to make into like a main character is like, dude, I don't care.
Yeah.
David Tennant is right over there. I want to watch David Tennant kill people, not this bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There is one more thing I can add too, and it goes back to Legion. Legion right now is basically showing like comic book adaptations have gotten so big, they're throwing Oscar caliber talent behind the scenes because Legion, their cinematographers in my mind will win an Oscar one day because of how gorgeous it's shot. The sound design's great. Like on a technical aspect, like it shows you like how like it's like when you think about just 20 years ago, think of like it was cool for the time, but like the Flash TV show,
yeah,
to Legion looks like a fucking Oscar film that has been broken down into 8 parts.
Legion, it's very interesting the way that it's filmed. It's
so weird, but I
don't even know
it.
how to describe it.
I love it though.
It's like part Clockwork Orange and part something else. I don't know exactly.
I believe the term you're looking for is Geoff crack, because that is exactly what it is.
Yeah, I can't quite put my finger on, like, it's like half a Clockwork Orange and half something else, and I have yet to figure out what that is.
It's what's so cool about it too is like it's like an art film, you know.
Yeah, pretty much.
It'll be an art film up until it's like Saving Private Ryan with fucking superheroes. You know what I'm talking about too. You're just like, yes, bitch.
And so cool. The way that they blend those scenes together, I have a feeling, you know how we've been saying thank you Deadpool a lot recently? I have a feeling that in another couple of years, it'll all be thank you Legion.
It is what I will say with Legion is from a technical standpoint, it is groundbreaking for comic book stuff.
Because even if there's nothing else to do with Legion, it is kind of showing what is possible. Even if whatever it is that comes out is totally unrelated, not even shot similarly, if it's half as creative as Legion, it'll be because of Legion.
They do changes like when they go to widescreen, and that is a story angle.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. The opening scene where you just see him time lapse as he's growing up while always looking at the camera.
Yeah,
blew me away on how gorgeous it was shot. And the editing, the cinematographers and the editor will win Oscars for one day for who have worked on that show.
And the way that they just randomly change gears between Sundance Film and John Wick, like I just don't.
Did you watch episode 2 yet?
I have not.
There's some cool shit in episode 2 as well that they do with like the second episode. They get a little bit more Inception-y with it, and they do some cool shit with the lighting, like
depending on how the kids are tomorrow, I plan to try to get through both episodes. Because episode 3 should be out too.
I mean, if you want to, I mean, just like, and we're gonna wrap up pretty soon because we're a little over time, but it's been we've covered a lot in the time that we've put towards this. But my buddy Jason and I, the I don't know if was it on camera when we were talking about me, you and John Wick, or was that before? Okay, we changed the night that we watch TV shows together to Thursday nights, which is the first available time we can watch Legion. That is how awesome it has been to us. Because like if Legion maintains what it's doing from the first 2 episodes overall, that's another thing too. It's one of the 8 episode ones. They don't have time to dick around. That's why I think it's gonna ramp up even crazier. But if it maintains what it's doing right now over the course of all 8 episodes, it'll be in my, if not top 3, it'll be in my top 5 for sure, I think. It is like just.
The only thing that worries me about Legion, though, is like if it gets another season, when you start getting to like season 3 and beyond, I don't know how you keep that creative ball rolling. I don't know how you keep showing me things I haven't already seen you do.
What's interesting about it too is that I know this is going to turn into like a Legion podcast, but it's worth the time devoted towards it. The creator, writer, and showrunner of it is Noah Hawley, who's the guy behind the Fargo TV show. Fargo is an anthology-based show where every season is its own thing.
Yeah.
With that guy is so good, I could see them, if they feel like the David storyline has run its course, give me another random X-Men, because that's what he is. He's a random X-Man. That guy is so talented, and their crew is so talented. They could tell me, like, you know, the next show is about Carrot Top reading the phone book. I'm like, I will watch those guys film and shoot that shit just to watch how they do it. Like, shit.
Just for the cinematography and the music.
If you are a fan of film in general, you will like watching it just because it's so intriguing the way it's shot. It's just I know we're running in circles around it, but it's just so gorgeous.
It can't be stated enough. Like, you have to see it to understand it.
And
even then, you don't entirely understand what you've just seen.
Because I'm the type, I never rewatch stuff because I'm so behind on so much that I want to watch all the new stuff I can. When my friend, he said he hadn't watched Legion yet, I just watched it like a day before. I was like, I'll watch it again. Like, I could watch Legion on mute just to watch their camera angles, because it's just like it's like an art house film nerd like boner fest just watching Legion. Like,
yeah. No, it was pretty interesting the way they work with color too and shadows and stuff.
Oh man, in the second episode, some of the stuff they do with shadows will like blow your fucking mind. It's so good.
I can't wait.
So I guess we need to start a Legion podcast, and that'll be
evidently.
That'll be going up on the channel. But was there anything else you wanted to talk about as far as TV, comic book stuff?
Not particularly, other than I just wish we could start getting some competition against the MCU. I would really love to see something else, because the CW stuff, I mean, don't get me wrong, they've had their ups and downs, and like Legends has been pretty solid consistently. I want more MCU-like things out there. I want some more rated R-like things out there. I want, Hulu to start getting contracts, or Netflix to start reaching out to DC.
I don't understand.
HBO, Stars, Cinemax, something. The
one that I have always thought of is Hulu has been trying to kind of keep up with Netflix and try to, they've had Shut Eye, they have 11/22/63. They're making original programming. But the thing that's kind of glaring from their slate, is comic book stuff. Why hasn't more? It makes sense for both Warner Brothers and for Hulu to have rated R DC shows. Like, could you imagine, like, if you gave them Swamp Thing? Give them Swamp Thing. I would have bought up Constantine. Could you imagine rated R Hulu Constantine? They could have made them connected.
Dude, if they had just Swamp Thing and Constantine, I would upgrade to the no commercials.
Right? Do a Justice League Dark universe of TV shows, and then they can combine. Like, you can
I just came.
You could have an Etrigan show. You could do.
I've been wanting an Etrigan show. Stop talking, Geoff. You're making me sad.
You could
Poop on you.
the thing too, you could do Teen Titan related stuff. You could totally do a Nightwing or the one I want, Raven. Raven could totally be her own TV show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's just sitting there. The DC, like the universe of DC, is so rich.
And the TV writers will do it so much better than the movie writers are right now, apparently.
Like, it just makes me sad. It's just, it's a gold mine sitting there, and what is happening? Fucking Gotham. That's what we're getting out of DC right now. So I'm gonna go call the suicide hotline. I kind of need to get off the air. Like that's a thing.
Gonna go find a suicide booth.
I love Futurama.
Oh god, yes.
It's so good. We could do a Futurama podcast as well.
I'm there.
Sold. All right, guys.
Podcast Express.
We will probably at some point when we run out of topics revisit this somehow. Maybe talk about like the pitfalls and missteps of comic book adaptations along the way. That'd be a fun kind of epilogue to this.
Yeah.
If you'd like to check us out more, please like and subscribe. That gets you all of our content. In addition to our vodcast, we have Let's Plays, commentaries. Ron and I have talked about doing a little Justice League Dark commentary at some point because that movie's fucking amazing. And if you haven't watched Justice League Dark, quit watching this mediocre podcast and go watch Justice League Dark.
I watched it again today with my dad, and I will be watching it again possibly tomorrow and sometime this weekend with my wife.
Did your dad like it?
My dad liked what he saw of it, but he was helping me wrestle babies, so he's going to go back and watch it again.
I want to watch it again really badly.
If you had any affinity for the Constantine show, that's basically what it is. It stars Constantine.
Yeah, Matt
He's
Ryan.
the same as he was in the show.
But it's also
Richie is in it from the show. Same actor voicing.
Yeah.
him.
But it's brilliant too because it works as a Constantine sequel to the TV show. It works as a sequel to Justice League War. Like it's all beautifully done. It's beautifully fucking done. Love it.
Everything about it.
Cannot recommend it enough. What the fuck was I talking about?
Your silence out, I believe.
We have social media links for Facebook and Twitter in the description below. And most importantly, if you know anyone else that might also enjoy our content, we would greatly appreciate a share. I'm Geoff.
I'm Ron.
This has been episode 90. I need to go watch either Futurama, Legion, John Wick, something. One of the above, or maybe all of the above.
It's not going to be John Wick.
Maybe. I have it on Amazon, bitch. And on that note, bye, guys.
Bye.